Hey guys, what's up? My name is Dave, and today we're going to be exploring some alternative mage training methods that could potentially yield a lot of profit. I'm going to be testing them out and seeing about how much I can make and about how much XP I can get. So the first thing that you guys are probably wondering what I'm doing is, I'm in the wilderness. I'm going to be doing some crazy archaeologist with a tome of fire. I'm going to be using my staff of the dead and very similar gear to what I used at Scorpia, except here I actually do risk the tome of fire, which isn't even that bad. It says 700k risk, but that's mostly in the blood runes, honestly. Tome is only about 250k now. So I'm going to be testing this out, seeing how much money I can make and how much XP I can get, and I'll show you guys a couple kills as well. I'll show you guys just how fast one of these kills actually does go. I'm only using about 10 to 11 casts on average, or 10 to 11 runes on average per kill, and right now I'm getting about 60k XP an hour, which is pretty good. I didn't think it would actually be this much, but this does seem pretty reasonable. There is a lot of downtime, which is unfortunate. But the reason I'm using the Staff of the Dead is actually because it has a 1 in 8 chance, which is about 12.5% chance of not using any runes upon a cast. So the difference between this and the Smoke Staff is arguably pretty negligible. Plus I know that Crazy Arc actually can take damage from Venom. I took stupid damage there because I didn't run fast enough. But he actually can take damage from Venom, which is another reason why I chose to use it. But as you can see, the boss dies very, very quickly, and there's really no struggle, no hassle with it at all. This actually could be a pretty good moneymaker. Also, I know that I'm an idiot for bringing fire runes. I completely forgot that the Tome of Fire actually does count as unlimited fire runes. Okay, so I did about 15 minutes worth of Crazy Archaeologist. I could have done an entire hour, but 15 minutes is a pretty good sample size. My kills were very average. We spent about 75k in supplies, including the potions that I drank, which was just me being too lazy to run to the altar, and we got about 200k back. So this means that you could be making 5 or 600k profit per hour without even getting a shard, and I was getting 55 to 60,000 magic experience per hour. So this is going to be a very, very profitable method, as well as decent XP. And the reason, by the way, since I know people are going to ask why we were using Firewave instead of a Trident, because a Trident is probably effectively more DPS, is because Firewave gives you more experience. A Trident does not give you a lot of experience, and regular spells do, hence the reason for the Tome of Fire plus Firewave. And you don't have to use Firewave, you could use other spells as well, but they will obviously yield less kills per hour. So let's move on to the next method. I'll probably put like a screen up here that highlights what I just said, and then we'll go into the next method, which is going to be a non-combat method. Alright, so this is going to be the most variable one, because it actually is going to heavily depend on the gear you're using and what spells you're using. But for me personally, I was getting about 60k mage XP per hour and making over 500k an hour without even getting shards. If you factor in shards, you'd be probably making about 1.2 to 1.5 mil per hour profit. Alright, the next method is something that's pretty well known, but a lot of people actually don't do anymore. This method is going to be a lot more XP per hour, but the requirements are a little bit higher. You have to actually have lunars done. What we're going to be doing is using the plank make spell to actually create specifically mahogany planks. Now, per cast of this spell, you're going to need 1,050 coins, hence the cash stack. You're going to need 2 astral runes, 1 nature rune, and then a shitload of earth runes, so just wear an earth staff. You should be making about 50 GP per cast of this spell. So we're going to try it out, see how much money we make, and also see how many casts per hour and how much XP we're getting. This is obviously going to be a lot less GP per hour, but it's going to be a lot more XP per hour, and it's going to be a lot more click intensive. This is all we're doing. It's kind of like enchanting rings, but a little bit faster. It's a lot closer to elk speed. But as you can see, the XP is actually pretty good while doing this, and if we're making about, 40 or so GP per cast, this could actually end up being decent money as well as amazing XP. I want to emphasize the fact that doing this actually is heavily pertinent on your ability to click, your ability to bank quickly. I would not recommend doing it at the Grand Exchange like I was, because this requires a right click to bank. Do it at like Castle Wars or Clan Wars where it's a one-click bank. However, even with this right click bank, I was getting about 160k XP per hour doing this, and the amount of casts I was getting per hour was about 1,700. So, like I said, the amount of profit you're going to be making from this is kind of negligible. But if I'm getting about 40 GP per cast, I'm making a little bit less than 75k per hour in terms of GP, but the XP I was getting was 160k, which is phenomenal. So quickly re-highlighting what I just said, this method is insanely good XP, but it is very, very click intensive and does not make you a crazy amount of money like the other methods do. This one yields pretty negligible amount of profit. However, the XP for Mage is just insane. Alright, so lastly, this one's going to be, once again, pretty click intensive, and it's a method that a lot of people actually also know about and are familiar with. A lot of Iron Men use this, but I'm actually curious to see how much money you can make and how much magic XP and potentially crafting XP you can actually get from doing this. So what we're going to be doing this time is Super Glass Make. What you need for this is a plethora of buckets of sand and seaweed. You actually want to buy seaweed, not soda ash, because seaweed is substantially cheaper. What you're going to also need is a shitload of fire runes and air runes for this. So you could use a smoke staff, or you could do what I'm doing, which is I have some kind of staff that gives you air runes and a tome of fire with at least one page in it. Since I was using a tome of fire earlier in this video, I figured why bother buying a smoke staff. So we're going to try this out and just see how fast I can do this and get some potential reads on the XP and GP per hour. Alright, so here's the baseline cost of what I'm going to be using. I was going to start with 500, but I messed up. So this is about how many runes and everything I'm going to have to go through to do these. This is going to be extremely click intensive and probably the lowest magic XP per hour, but it should be also some crafting XP as well as potentially some decent profit. Alright, so this one really surprised me. One of the cooler things about this spell is that you can actually end up with more molten glass than what you actually had in supplies. So you guys saw I had about 470 buckets of sand and seaweed that I was using, but I ended up with over 600 molten glass, which is awesome. So profit-wise, this is actually pretty good as well. This took me about 4 minutes to do, and I made about 28k profit in 4 minutes, which means that if you do this over a course of an hour, you could actually be expecting over 400k per hour. And the magic XP I was getting was actually a little bit low. It was about 37k. What really caught me off guard was the crafting XP. I actually got 61,000 crafting XP per hour doing this. So I'm going to put up the last screen for you guys, and then we'll cut over to an outro. So this method, just like the plank make one, very, very click intensive. Although this one does not yield a lot of XP, it has a very, very high profit margin with pretty much no risk. You don't have to go in the wilderness or anything, and you also get a pretty good amount of crafting XP. This guy's in my outro. Thank you for the compliment. Hope these methods helped you guys out. I know a lot of them are already like somewhat known, but a lot of people don't actually know how good they really are. So if you guys try any of these methods out, let me know how it goes. If you have any other cool methods you would like me to try out for training any skills, feel free to let me know as well. And if you guys are new, feel free to tap that subscribe button, like up the video, and check out my Winning RuneScape series. It's maxing and chasing all pets, or my Endgame Iron Man series. That one's self-explanatory. Have an awesome day, and Happy New Year to all you guys.